today's headlines, Vietnam emerges as a strategic choice for investors. And later on, Vietnam supports Francophone communities' noble goals. Good evening, you're watching today's headlines, where we bring you the top stories of the day. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh delivered a powerful speech at the Special Policy Dialogue session titled Breaking Through to the Future, Vietnam's Vision for Innovation and Global Role during the 2025 World Economic Forum WEF in Davos.
During the discussion with renowned journalist and Financial Times editor-at-large Gillian Tett, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh delivered a strong message. Vietnam is an attractive strategic destination for foreign investors. Vietnam is focused on improving its legal and institutional frameworks, particularly in AI development. The Politburo's recently adopted Resolution Number 57 on scientific research, innovation, and digital transformation will strongly push research and development investments. Additionally, Vietnam is actively investing in smart infrastructure. In response to concerns about Vietnam's trade surplus with the U.S., the Prime Minister emphasized Vietnam's openness to listening, exchanging views, and addressing issues of mutual concern, particularly in areas where the U.S. has strengths, such as aviation and high-tech industries.
Later, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh delivered a keynote speech at a seminar in Davos on global trade and development in the smart era. He urged countries to cooperate, fight protectionism, and promote multilateral trade amid global challenges. The Prime Minister outlined 4 key aspects of the smart era: peace and cooperation, sustainable growth, responsible resource use, and social justice. He emphasized Vietnam's readiness for the new era through innovation, creativity, and leveraging its people and businesses. He also reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to hosting the 16th UNCTAD conference and welcoming delegates from all continents. And on the sidelines of the 55th World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh held meetings with the President of Panama and the Prime Ministers of Lithuania and Liechtenstein.
At the meeting with the Panamanian President, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh affirmed that Vietnam highly values Panama's role and position in Central America and Latin America. The two leaders agreed to boost trade and investment and explore new areas such as infrastructure, electric cars, pharmaceuticals, and tourism. The Prime Minister offered Vietnam's support to Panama in food production, particularly rice cultivation.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh met with his Lithuanian counterpart and affirmed Vietnam's commitment to strengthening ties and bilateral relations with Lithuania. The Lithuanian Prime Minister called for enhanced economic, trade, and energy cooperation, particularly in renewable energy and liquefied gas. Both leaders agreed to expand high-level visits and implement existing cooperation mechanisms between their foreign ministries.
In his meeting with the Liechtenstein Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh urged strengthening the legal framework for bilateral cooperation and exploring new opportunities. Vietnam aims to finalize the Vietnam-EFTA FTA and continue negotiations on an investment protection agreement. The Liechtenstein Prime Minister hoped to conclude the FTA this year and begin talks on a double taxation avoidance agreement.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh met with Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chair of the World Economic Forum WEF, during his visit to Switzerland. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh urged Professor Schwab to support Vietnam in implementing this strategy by connecting with businesses, experts, and scientists to jointly develop a science, technology, and innovation ecosystem that maximizes opportunities in the smart era. The Prime Minister also proposed that WEF help Vietnam co-host an annual Global Economic Forum in Ho Chi Minh City. Vietnam has always shared and supported the French-speaking community's noble values and goals of peace, democracy, solidarity, cooperation, and development. This was emphasized by National Assembly Chair Trần Thanh Mẫn at the opening session of the conference of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Francophone on Wednesday. He noted that Vietnam shares and supports the core values of the French-speaking nations, including peace, democracy, cultural and linguistic diversity, solidarity, cooperation, and development. Coming up next, over 56% of Japanese businesses plan to expand investment in Vietnam. And let's see Tet rituals reenacted at Thăng Long relic site. Now moving on to other news, according to a survey of Japanese businesses currently operating in Vietnam, the percentage of companies expecting profitability in 2024 has reached 64.1%, surpassing the 60% mark for the first time in 5 years. The proportion of profitable enterprises has risen compared to the previous year, and 4 industry groups reported profitability exceeding 80%. Many businesses remain optimistic about favorable business outcomes in 2025, with 56.1% expressing a desire to expand operations in Vietnam within the next 1 to 2 years. And this is the highest rate in the ASEAN region. In 2024, Vietnam maintained its position as Singapore's third largest rice exporter, with a turnover of over $94.5 million, accounting for more than 28% of the market share. And despite leading rice exports to Singapore in the first 2 quarters of the year, Vietnam has since lost market share to India and Thailand. And this shows that Vietnamese enterprises must improve their competitiveness and ensure the quality of their rice products meets Singaporean government standards and import licensing. Monitoring the entire supply chain from the source to the distribution channels is essential to prevent the distribution of tainted and smuggled food. And this is particularly important at wholesale markets and shopping centers, where large quantities of goods are concentrated and attract a high volume of shoppers.
As Tet approaches, more people begin shopping. With recent concerns about food safety, consumers are increasingly mindful of various factors when selecting food.
My criterion is clear food origin.
The Ho Chi Minh City Department of Food Safety reported an 80% increase in goods arriving at wholesale markets ahead of Tet, with buyer numbers rising by 50 to 80%. The city's food safety team inspected over 1,600 establishments for food origin and safety. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development also deployed teams to reinforce food safety during peak periods.
We are taking strong measures to ensure food safety before, during, and after Tet. This effort began a month before Tet and is ongoing.
The Food Safety Department warns people to be cautious when consuming alcohol during this period and to avoid alcohol of unknown origin. Authorities will also collect samples of meat, vegetables, fruit, candies, and jams to strengthen inspections and ensure food safety.
The Vietnam General Confederation of Labor will provide airfare support for 450 union members to return home for Tet on January 25th. And this initiative is part of their Union Flight Spring 2025 program. The support will benefit union members facing financial hardships, high-performing workers and their relatives, funding their flights from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi and Vinh. Before departure, the Confederation will host a Tet celebration and distribute gifts to the workers at Tân Sơn Nhất Airport. The reenactment of Lunar New Year or Tet rituals, once held at the Thăng Long Royal Palace, occurred this morning at the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. The rituals researched by the Thăng Long Hanoi Heritage Conservation Center feature hundreds of participants in traditional costumes, performing prayers and rituals, symbolizing sending off the old and welcoming the new for peace and prosperity. Witnessing these royal court rituals offers tourists a unique and emotional New Year experience. And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news for today's headlines. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.